Hello, folks. Pastor Rocky Branch. Hope you're doing well this morning. You know, the Bible is so advanced in our thinking because when we kind of figure a few things out, we'll see some other things that will say, kind of, wow. I mean, how did this work, or how did I not see this before? That's the wonderful thing about the Bible. It's ever present. It helps us every day in the challenges that we face. And one of the things that's really cool about the Bible is that God gives a series of names. Jehovah Shammah, for example, is the meaning, I am there, I will be there. And, God is before us everywhere we go. And one of the things that we do as people is we try to measure up to each other. When we see someone, we immediately draw a contact with them about something. If they're witnessing to us and we're not doing right, we immediately become defensive of that situation. Or if we're doing better than they do, then we feel a little bit better about ourselves and seeing them and talking to them. So we kindly build our perspective on who we see and what they're doing and what's going on. And that's kind of a human nature, I suppose, because, we all are at different levels in a lot of ways, whether it be in our educational background, whether it be in society, whether it be in the community, whether it be in the Bible, whether it be in the church. I mean, there's different levels. The ground is level at the cross for sure, but we stand in different areas, and that's very, very important. You have one guy that's trying his best to scrape his way to get something to eat. You got another guy that can buy whatever he wants to eat. You can have this one person that, they want to be so much in the social standing, and they're working on that. Another guy doesn't care anything about that. So everybody's different, but our measuring stick is not each other, because many times that's kind of what we do. We look at the situation, whatever's applicable to us, then we identify with it. We will say, well, I'm not that way, or I'm better than that way. Oh, we wouldn't say that, of course, out loud. But inside, you see, where the heart is, where the mind is, we kind of deal with that issue all the time. Now, our relationship with Jesus Christ is going to change that, because what happens to us when we dedicate and continue to walk in the will of God, then our mindset changes. Now, we're still the same people, wear the same clothes, do the same things, desire to achieve, or doesn't matter in many cases, but the thing that changes is our mindset. God is able to get inside and help us to use the gifts, the talents that He has provided, that we might do His will. And I suppose that's one of the valuable things that we need to think about this morning, is how that we are using what God has given us. Now, everybody has seen this show at least once or twice, maybe a lot of times. Everybody Loves Raymond, that TV show, the comedy where they have this family and this guy named Ray and his wife and kids, and then the mother and father-in-law live across the street, and the big brother, he lives with the parents, and it's just a funny show, and sometimes gets out of hand, but everybody's probably seen that show before. One episode I happened to see of this show, the father was an usher at their church. And of course, he doesn't live right, doesn't proclaim to live right, but church was the issue. And the father had told the granddaughter, Ray's granddaughter, that Ray was going to hell because he didn't go to church. Well, that offended Ray, of course, because the little girl said, "Daddy, Grandpa said you were going to hell." Well, Ray says, "I'm not going to hell because I'm a good person. I don't hurt anybody. I do the right thing. I'm as good as anybody else." Well, what Ray understood as he was thinking about that he did go to church. And he saw that his father was back receiving the offering, and he and his buddies were betting on who gave the most and what row got the most. And Ray got disenchanted by going to church thinking that he was doing the right thing, and then to find out that the people at church were playing games. Well, of course, they didn't get into the salvation issue on television. Of course, that wasn't their motive. But I want to talk to you about that, because sometimes people think, well, I'm as good as anybody else. I mean, I'm not a bad person. I don't hurt anybody. That's not even the issue, beloved. It's not the issue whether you're as good as anybody else, because I don't measure up to you and you don't measure up to me, because if we were to do that, then I would be better at something or you would be better at something. Then we'd keep measuring each other to see who was the best, and that's not how we operate. We have a measuring stick, yes, a plumb bob, if you will, to draw the line, but that is not you, nor is it me, nor is it anybody else. That is Jesus Christ. My question is, are you doing what Jesus Christ would have you do. Not are you better or as good as someone else, because that's just a call that you could make depending upon your situation. But that's not the bottom line. That's not what we're looking for. That's not the measuring stick. The idea here is, am I doing what Jesus Christ would have me to do? Am I serving? Am I loving? Am I caring? Am I participating? Now, the first thing that people say when this conversation comes up is, hold on, I've been hurt. They lied to me. They did the wrong thing. Well, don't you think they did that to Jesus? They did that to Jesus to the degree that they put him on a cross. What did he do when he was on the cross? His arms were spread out. They were nailed to a tree. His feet was nailed to a tree. What did Jesus say? Father, forgive them, for they don't understand. You say, well, I can't do that. Well, the interesting part of this is that in most cases you'll never be asked to do that the way Jesus did. For Jesus died at a crucial time in history in a barbaric way in the Roman Empire. So I don't think you have to worry about a cross being nailed to it. But I do think that we have to deal with the issue of asking God to help us deal with other people, and not let us stop what we're doing because someone else is not measuring up to us, or that we can't measure up to someone else. The opportunity we have is great, and we are responsible to do the best we can. Well, we're responsible to each other, sure, but our responsibility and sufficiency lies in Christ. So, when you consider today, on Monday, about 6:37 in the morning, when you think about what you're doing today, let me encourage you, don't measure up to the person beside you or around you, or someone you're trying to impress, or someone you don't care about. Don't judge or evaluate your life's progress based on what someone else is or isn't doing. Look to Jesus, the author and finisher of our faith, and God will direct your path. And if you have been guilty of allowing your life to be lined up with someone else, and you say, well, I don't go to church because a bunch of hypocrites down there. Well, I always say the same thing. We got room for one more. Come on. So it's just the way life is as far as people go. That's why we draw to Jesus. Draw to Jesus. When you go to church, go for him. When you go to church, don't go for the choir or the pastor or the Sunday school class. Go because you love Jesus, and you want to do what Jesus said by the Word. Now, if they're not preaching the Word, find you a place to go, quite obviously, because you need to be where the Word is. But let that Word settle in. Let that Word take root. Let that Word take effect. And you see, that will change your life. And I'm going to tell you, if you do that, well, God will bless you for it. God bless you. We love you. Goodbye.